Welcome to Lloyd Tarot. Today I'm going to be reviewing a book, Big Deck Energy by Dyan. Now, she is known as a bit of a celebrity tarot reader of sorts, and she has a very no fluff, no bullshit approach to tarot reading. Some of the things I liked about this book, my favorite parts about this book was that it was easy to read. It was digestible, it wasn't overly dense, and it's the kind of book that you can sit down with a cup of tea and just simply enjoy reading. You don't have to use it as a manual or as a guide. You don't have to have your notebook out to be studying. You don't have to take a break due to information overload. It is not overly esoteric, overly woo-woo, but it doesn't completely modernize tarot to the point where it takes away the magical aspects. A little background into Dyan. She has a book that came out before this called Burn Your Shit, which is about ritual. So she's not afraid of diving into more of the realms of witchcraft, but she does it from a very grounded place. As far as Big Deck Energy, this is a book for new beginning tarot readers. Or if you started your practice, you became uninspired, you lost your spark, and you need a reminder that it's not that serious. This is a great book for that. One of my qualms and one of my issues with a lot of tarot books is that they are all guides. They're all manuals. They're all bland, boring, dense, non-conversational. You just flip the page and it's like, this is what this card means. This is not that kind of book. This is her kind of conversational approach to how she approaches tarot reading, a little bit about her journey, a little bit about how you can get started, a little bit about how to utilize your own intuition for interpreting the cards. If you are a traditionalist, if you are rigid in the way that you believe the cards have very specific meanings, you will not like this book. If you are more of an intuitive reader, you'll quite enjoy this book. With this is a double-edged sword. So this was one of the aspects of this book that I was kind of a little bit hesitant about, was this kind of information in the wrong hands leads to a lot of readers who don't do their homework, who don't learn the traditional meanings and just go with whatever they think. And to me, if you don't understand the deep esoteric teachings of the traditional meanings of the cards and their connection to astrology and occult, then you shouldn't really be speaking on the cards. Now, Dyan, she does not claim that her methods or her meanings are better or what you should use. She is very forthright about the fact that she kind of has learned the traditional meanings and then has created her own from there that work in her style of reading. I think having this as kind of a playground or a starting point for readers who have their own connection to their cards is a really great perspective. I think it is refreshing having someone who, understands the importance to ritual, but also is kind of just down to earth and doesn't think that every single thing holds specific magical meaning. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I read it in like 3 days. I thought it was light. Did I take anything new away from it? No, but I've been a reader for over 10 years. This is really more geared towards beginners. If you are a beginner and you don't like the dense, complicated, esoteric guidebooks that are out there, you'd really like this as kind of a launching point, a starting point. I do believe you should still learn traditional meanings so that you have the context, because context is key. Knowledge is power. Understanding the cards in their traditional aspects allows you to take that and adapt them and kind of make your practice your own. Would I recommend this to a friend? Yes, I already did. I gave it 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, and I left my review there. The pros for this book, you can just sit down and read it. It's not a study guide, it's not a manual, you don't have to do homework. Another pro is I like her unique voice in the way that she writes. I like that she is pretty grounded in her approach to tarot. I like that it doesn't go full woo-woo, but she doesn't discredit it completely. More pros is that it's really about adapting your practice to work for you, and that is the whole part of tarot. Tarot teaches you more about yourself than anything, and it seems that she gathers that, and that really shows through in this book. Cons. If you're looking for traditional meanings, you're not going to find them here. But there are so many books that have all the traditional meanings, so having one that just does the same thing as all the others is redundant, in my opinion. I'm glad that she's doing something a little different. Another con is that, once again, if given to the wrong person, they might just think that this is full reign to just make up what every card means and have nothing grounded within their practice. Another con is it feels a little bit kind of like new age self-helpy, like not totally, but if you ever heard of the books You Are a Badass, there's kind of this casual aspect to the way that she writes that is kind of like um it can kind of feel like it in some ways um maybe takes away from how much she actually does know about this world and about tarot. Other parts, I, as a experienced reader, found the chapters on the meanings of the cards boring. And I think that would come with anybody who already knows the meanings of the cards. I found some interesting snippets of where her interpretations really did sway from the traditional interpretations or the meanings that I've learned to come to know about tarot, where I was kind of like, I don't know about that. But that's just it. It works for her. It might not work for me. And she's very clear that these are meanings that she's adapted over time. One of the ones that almost put me off to the point where I stopped reading because I was like, why would you think that this is what this card means, is when she speaks on the lovers and she talks about how it's divine counterparts and soulmate energy and passion, and that it's big, big love, 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 love. I've never interpreted the lovers this way, especially as a Gemini and being dualistic at myself. I've always leaned into the method that the lovers is about duality, about choices, about finding a distinction and which path to take in our lives, and the coming together of minds in a way of a point of understanding, and not this big romantic love, 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 love type of interpretation. So when I read that and she kind of really just minimized the meaning of lovers to me, I was a little bit off put by it. I was kind of like, what the fuck is she talking about? Um, but I kept an open mind and I kept reading. And you know what? She happens to interpret the lovers that way. I don't. I'm not sure I ever will. But there were other ways that she interpreted other cards, which made more sense to me. That is the one con of this book, is I feel like maybe I'm a little more rigid. Maybe I don't like fully changing the interpretation of a card to suit me. I feel like sometimes it involves a lot of creativity to take a traditional tarot meaning that you have a hard time resonating with and finding a way to resonate with it. I think that that takes a lot of knowledge and strength and depth in your reading to get to a place where a card that once baffled you can make sense in the context of a reading. Do I think her approach makes tarot more approachable to people who may get overwhelmed? Yes. Do I think that her approach to tarot makes it so that your intuition can come forward? Yes. But there is a degree where I don't want to throw all of the rules out the window, because that structure to tarot is also what brought me to it. So that is just my personal take. The pros and cons, what I liked about this book, what I didn't like about this book. I think that she's a very digestible writer, and like I said, I finished it in a couple days. It was a pleasant read. If you're new to tarot, I do recommend this, especially if you don't want a dense, rigid guidebook that you feel like you have to study. This is kind of more a light read that you can kind of take inspiration from. Do I recommend this to traditional readers who have been doing this for years and years and years? No, you won't find anything in here that you like. Do I recommend this to tarot readers who've been doing it a little while and are wanting to kind of open up their world and be a little more open-minded when it comes to their tarot practice? Yeah, I think it'd be a worthwhile read, but it does really gear towards beginners. So you are going to find chapters where it's nothing new. So I give this a 4 out of 5, and I hope you enjoyed this review, my take on it, and my perspective. And I hope it's helped you make an informed decision whether or not you want to read this book. Peace and love.